ENJC have control to all units and shift supervisors. Be advised, we have a signal 1000 at 2049.
Control, Edgar,
They called us Signal 2000, which is an attempt to escape. He decided he was going to run for it and told the sergeant he was going to run and took off out of the unit.
I think by 7:30 in the morning we had a Signal 10, which means the officer needs assistance, and we've had 2 Signal 2000s, which are escapes.
Go to the back of the cell. Turn around. Turn around. Turn around. Get on your knees. Get on your knees. Take the cuff off, put your hand on your head. Take your shoe. Stay like that till we exit the cell.
It was a pretty half-hearted attempt. I think he gave him a little struggle. Then they brought him here, and he acts relieved now that he is here. As a matter of fact, I believe it's his second time trying to escape in the last 2 weeks because he's having such a problem getting acclimated with the other offenders out there in GP.
I did it because I already got in trouble before, and I was just mad, so I wasn't trying to listen to the officers here. Anger, like when officers, they be getting on my nerves, like they'll try to pick with us, you know. I guess I got fed up, you know. I don't listen to them no more.
But did you have anger before you came here, before you got locked up?
Yeah, family problems, you know, me living, you know, living in the street. That gave me anger right there. So. I ain't go nowhere.
Yesterday we had about 8 slots that weren't full, and since last night about 9:30, when we brought another young offender down here, it went full tilt, and we went from 17 to 24, and we are now full. It's just one of those days when it rains, we don't have enough buckets.
Trying to find some way of getting out.
Hal made his first move to scale the Pendleton fences at the crack of dawn.
I hit the fence last Saturday, too. Almost made it over that time. I'm not scared to get cut. It wouldn't have been my first time. I've cut myself before with that fence. I'm used to so much pain from early on in my childhood. It's just a small scratch. I could have a gouge from here in my arm down to here, and I'm just gonna look at it like, wow.
As one of the largest maximum security juvenile prisons in the country, Pendleton is responsible for educating and rehabilitating teenage gang members, sex offenders, and juveniles with mental health issues for the Indiana Department of Correction.
In our jurisdiction, in our state, the Department of Corrections really has become a solution to a very aggressive, difficult child to handle. Truly those kids that are seen as public threats.
I spent from age 10 to 12 in a state hospital for mental problems, and then I ended up getting locked up at age 13. From there, I messed up by getting in a lot of fights at school while I was at placement, which got me terminated from there. Threatened my caseworker. They kicked me out for that, and now I'm here. Been here for the past 3 years.
The number one issue that offenders approach me on a daily basis has to do with placements. It could just be because their history of behavior, they've been in community placements before, and they've been kicked out. So it's very frustrating from their perspective, and from ours.
They can't find a placement for you?
Because of all my mental history from the past, no placement will accept me now.
Finding placement for offenders isn't the only challenge Pendleton staff members face. Director Mia Black has to deal with a different set of issues in D Complex.
All of the offenders in our intensive treatment unit are low functioning through education or behavior. A lot of these kids are so used to beating up someone or cussing out someone to prove a point instead of just simply talking and discussing their issues, because they wasn't raised to be that way, and I try to get them to get into that mindset.
Most of the teens who arrive at Pendleton bring a mindset of their own. 18-year-old Edgar Munoz has been locked up for 14 months. Today, he finds out he won't be promoted to his next level.
So he's I'm in level 2, I'm in level 1, and I need to talk to Miss Black. She know I was in level 4. I want to know if you need to talk to the time I feel that. Yeah.
What's wrong?
They told me I'm in level 1.
Don't worry. I'll talk to Sawyer, see what he has to say, and we'll go from there, okay? So just stay in here, cool out for a little bit.
Okay.
Instead of them running from their problems, they need to face them and address them, but they need to do it in an effective way.
What's upsetting you today?
I'm sad because I'm supposed to be get my level today, and my level is T1. And like if I was have my T1 today, I can go home in 4 weeks. And I was talking to my mom, and my counselor, he talking to my mom, and he told her I'm gonna go home in 4 weeks. But he just tell me today, I think I guess he was mad or something, and he just tell me I'm in level 3. And I said I'm supposed to be in level 4 and make my T1. And he said, no, you're in level 3, you got to make level 4. And I said, okay. And I said, if I make my level, and he said, if I got some goals, but my goals are in my room. But he said, if I don't got my goals, I don't make my level. And he said, you're in level 3. And he wanted wait to, he told me to wait to tell me like how I'm being in the school, but I know how I'm being in the school. And he started saying I'm being good in the school and all this stuff. And then I know the lady that she said like if I was in elementary school before and all this stuff. And I think she was like trying to laugh at me, like if she tried to laugh or something. And
so you felt like one of the teachers was laughing at you?
Yeah, because they think like if I'm stupid or something. And I just I get mad because I don't get my level that I'm supposed to be get, and they drop me one more level, so they tell me I'm in level 4. I'm in level 2, and so I just now I'm in level 2, and I need wait probably like 3 more months to get out.
Okay, so it goes level 1, 2,
2, 3,
4, then T1, T2, is that right?
And T3 release.
Okay, so you kind of went back a step, is that
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay, so
And
you could tell me that in your own words.
I was before in all the facility, and I was for 1 year, and I just got in this facility for 3 months. Like I was in the other facility, but I was bad, and I never make my levels. So I just come to this facility like bad reclass, and I just changed. Like the stuff that I was doing over there, I don't do it here anymore, because I'm trying to go home, but I just been good and I can go home, so I don't know.
So it sounds like you're pretty frustrated that you didn't earn your level.
Yeah,
How important is for you to earn your levels to go home?
it's important because I'm being like on laptop, and I don't see my mom and my family, and I want to see my mom again.
Did she come to visit you?
She lives in Edgar. It's probably like 6 hours from here.
So she hasn't visited you?
Mm-hmm.
How hard is that for you to not see your family?
It's like I just like I write letters to my mom, but I want to see my mom, and I want to get out and stay with my mom and my sister, because all my family they are in Mexico, and I got in America only my mom, my sister, and my grandpa and me.
How long has it been since you've seen your mom?
Like 1 year and 2 months.
Could you tell me? I haven't seen my mom in 1 year and 2 months.
I haven't seen my mom in 1 year and 2 months. And
Get up one more time.
I want to go back to home.
Can you tell me what you did that brought you to Pendleton?
I was like when I was outside, like I get in trouble in school, like with kids, I was fighting all this stuff. And I get in trouble in school and they send me in the other facility and they send me over here.
So what's your charge?
Escape school and fights in school, keep problems in school.
Is there anything else you want to tell us about being here?
No.
Thank you, Edgar.
All right.
First of all, if you could just tell me your name and what job you do.
My name is Mia Black. I'm a program director too for the youthful. Let's start all over because I'm already nervous.
No problem. Just take a deep breath.
That's right. We're gonna take a deep breath. Just breathe, 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 breathe. Okay, ready. My name is Mia Black, program director 2 for D Complex.
What is D Complex? What kind of students do you have?
D Complex has 3 different programs in it right now. The first one is the Plus unit. Then we have the Intensive Treatment unit. And then we have 2 units that are the Youthful Offender unit.
Okay, what is the unit specifically you first mentioned was?
The first unit is the Plus unit. It stands for Purposeful Living Unit Serve. It is a program that launched in June 2005 by our current commissioner that pretty much focuses on helping the offenders prepare for re-entry back into their community through a faith and character perspective. A lot of the curriculum is either faith or character oriented, depending on what track they want to go on. And it pretty much helps them to look more into themselves about their character flaws, their shortcomings, help address those while they're here in DOC, and also gives them a chance to give back to the community through community service outside of the community and also in the facility as well. They also are given a mentor to help them prepare for release. So if they're struggling with something as far as getting ready to go home, fear of going back, how to look for an apartment, how to look for a job, they have a mentor available to them to help them with those questions.
Okay. And intensive treatment?
I'm sorry, before we...
Beautiful thing!
Yeah, I had that too. Okay, so I think maybe we'll just briefly do the intro again.
Okay.
Okay, so you were talking about the 3 programs here in Canada.
First one that I talked about was the Plus program. Plus stands for Purposeful Living Unit Serve. It was a program that was launched in the DOC in June 2005, and its primary purpose is to help offenders prepare for re-entry back into their community through a faith or character perspective. And pretty much they go into the program and the curriculum helps them. Gosh, I had a great answer the first time, but I was shiny.
Don't worry about it. We've got that already with the audio, so
good.
There's all kinds of images we can put that way.
Oh, perfect. So can I go into the intensive treatment unit?
Absolutely.
Okay, intensive treatment unit, which is over in D10. All of the offenders in our intensive treatment unit are low functioning through education or behavior. Education, they have low IQ. Behavior, they can be suicidal, ADSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. All of those offenders are housed over in our D10 units. Our youthful offender units, which is D9 and D12, those are all of our offenders that are 17.5 years of age or higher, and they're in our transition phase preparing to go home. And pretty much most of the curriculum or the groups that are in those 2 units focus on employability, staying sharp, our substance abuse programs that are helping them prepare to transition back into the community.
Okay, great. I know one of the offenders that we were following yesterday was Michael. He's part of D9?
9, he's in the youthful offender program.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about Michael and use the word Michael more than he, if you can?
Okay, absolutely. Michael is a great guy. He's no problem at all in the unit. I don't have any complaints from my staff about him. He's always willing to help. He's always out in the facility helping, doing like trash duty, doing extra assignments. He is no problem, very respectful to staff, very respectful to me. You know, no problem is all out of him.
Let's see, he was saying a couple things yesterday that I wanted to follow up on. I'll come to that. But he mentioned to us yesterday that when he came in, he kind of had an alcohol problem. And tell me how you deal typically with kids that come in with substance abuse.
Well, offenders like Michael, when they come in with an alcohol problem, we do have a substance abuse program here called Staying Sharp, and it is a program that focuses on them recognizing their addiction, identifying what their addiction is, and addressing ways to deal with it, whether it's triggers, if they were angry and, you know, when they had anger issues, if they responded by drinking or smoking marijuana or something like that. We help them to address those triggers, and instead of going to that drink or that drug, they can redirect their behavior to something more positive. So that's pretty much what Staying Sharp focuses on.
Okay. Michael was telling us that he feels like he's got a handle on his alcohol problem.
Yeah.
And he won't be drinking anymore.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like that's going to be the case?
I do think that is going to be the case. I think with a lot of the offenders here, they haven't been around a drink or a drug. So I think when they first get out there, it might be difficult for them to stay on that track, but if they remember the skills that they've learned here, I think they can stay alcohol and drug free.
Okay. This program, Stay Sharp, is that something that they do daily, weekly? Is there a 4-month period that? Or
it is. How often do they do that? They do that They do it every week.
When you say it, you mean?
Staying Sharp, they do the Staying Sharp program every week with their counselor, Mr. Sawyer in D9. It is, I want to say 25 lessons or so, and they do it every week in a group setting.
Okay. And again, you kind of talked about this a little bit already, but it sounds like in that program they learn tools that will help them resist.
Absolutely.
You could put that in your words.
In the Staying Sharp program, how do you want me to word that?
However you like. They learn, we give them tools or we equip them.
Oh, okay. In the Staying Sharp program, we do give them tools to prepare them to avoid those triggers that may cause them to do drugs or to drink alcohol, and to redirect their behavior to do something more positive instead of picking up a drink or a drug.
Great, perfect. Okay, I'd love to hear a little bit more about what you specifically do in D Unit.
I think I do everything in D Complex. My primary responsibility is to assist the counselors in the units, making sure that paperwork is being done, making sure that all the questions or the concerns are being answered, but I also help with the custody side as well, making sure that things are staying routine in all of the brackets, making sure safety and security is being done at all times, talking to the sergeants a lot, talking to the officers a lot about the functions on the unit. In addition, I also do individual counseling. I mean, I have 96 offenders here. I'm not going to just focus on my staff. My primary purpose is to be here for the offenders, and they come in here all the time, and we'll sit, they'll chit chat. I have a lot of them come in here and say, you know, man, Miss Black, I'm angry because of school, or I hate this person, or this person is getting on my nerves. And we sit down and we talk about it, and we try to discuss how can they redirect their behavior in a more positive way, because a lot of these kids, they'll come in and say, you know, I just want to beat up on so-and-so, or I want to cuss out so-and-so, and I'm like, obviously you can't do that, but let's think of some things that you can do to address that. I do a lot of conflict resolution on the units. Do I need it?
Go ahead and answer.
Okay. Actually, that's going to be that's a parent. It's gonna be a long phone call. It can go to voicemail.
Okay, I'm sorry. If
No,
you
you're
let
fine.
it go to voicemail, that'd be
Great.
good for the
Okay.
moment.
And then I'll take that. Well, I'll leave it on because I turned my radio off.
Okay, so conflict resolution.
Conflict resolution is a lot. I'm a big advocate for conflict resolution, and what that is when a person is having a situation or a problem with a person, whether a staff or an offender, I bring the person that's having the issue and the person they're having the issue with, and we sit down and we discuss it. I try to have them talk about their differences so that they can come to a common resolution so they can, function better on the unit. And I've done that time and time again. Just yesterday I had a whole room in here because they were having issues with each other in regards to touching each other's property. They were urinating on this guy's stuff, they were doing this to this other guy's stuff, they were stealing each other's things, and we talked about it, and we just decided, hey, you know what, you guys are having issues touching each other's property. Here's a thought. Stop doing it. Like, let's think of some ground rules that you guys can have in that room so that you guys can respect each other's property and space. So I do a lot of conflict resolution because they have to learn to be tolerant of each other. I try to make D-complex as close to the real world as I can. Instead of them running from their problems, they need to face them and address them, but they need to do it in an effective way. A lot of these kids are so used to beating up someone or cussing out someone to prove a point. But instead of just simply talking and discussing their issues, because they haven't been used to that, because they wasn't raised to be that way. And I tried to get them to get into that mindset.
I noticed when I was looking into this unit over here, we had a lot of black kids playing with black kids, white kids playing with white kids. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I look at that in all of the different complexes, and you do see a lot of different races. All the black kids stay together, all the white kids stay together, all the Hispanics may sometimes stay together, but there's still, I think there is some tension there to a certain degree depending on the situation, but a lot of them interact with each other all the time. I've seen many of a white offender, be best friends with a black offender and vice versa, and even with the Hispanics, it just depends on the mix.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was wondering is, you have a lot of like white offenders that would come here that maybe in their outside world they'll be involved in some kind of white power thing.
Right.
Does that spill over into your units or?
The race issue, not necessarily. As you learned from the GROW program, we have a gang. We have a lot of gangs here in the facility, and you'll see a lot of gangs congregate with each other, and it happens to be that a lot of the gangs may entail both black and white offenders in that same gang. So you see them interacting a lot in that regards, but I don't see a lot of a race issue. There was a little bit of a race issue over here, but that was just unnecessary. They were saying that one of the staff members were being racist and offensive. We talked to the staff person, what the allegations were false. And I said, you're going to have to learn. I had to teach D9, you have to learn to be more diverse. You have to learn to respect all different types of cultures. Don't just look at one person and assume that not only that one person, but that whole entire race is that way. You have to be diverse. You have to have an open mind to everyone and not just say, hey, since you're this way, that means all of you are this way. So unnecessary.
Okay, so you don't see that as a big problem. Okay.
No.
Let's see, tell me what it's like working with these offenders. Is it really frustrating? Is it really gratifying? Is it?
I think it's a little bit of both. As you've heard before, working the adult system is easy because they're men and, they pretty much know how to walk, how to talk, how to have manners, things like that. They may get out of hand once in a while, but it's not as difficult. Well, I shouldn't say difficult. But when you look at the juveniles, it's different. Is it frustrating? Absolutely. Is it rewarding? Absolutely. I've had very frustrating offenders. I've had offenders that you just want to shake and just say, snap out of it, grow up, you need to go home, and they just don't grasp it. And I've had those offenders that have called me and say, hey, Ms. Black, I'm out, I'm going to the Air Force, I'm going to the Army, I'm going back to school, I have a job. I've had a lot of success stories. I have seen changes in some of these offenders now just from being here. I've seen, you know, offenders go from notorious for beating up everyone to learning how to look at their anger and address it right then and there. So although the rewards can be few and far in between, when you see them, it gives you a purpose to be here. Absolutely.
Can you tell me just briefly, like, that light bulb moment when you see a kid kind of get it and realize that there's like, there's a whole other way of being. Can you talk about that one?
Light bulb moment. Let me think of one.
Or you can talk about it in general terms as well, as like, you know, it kind of take me through, sometimes the offenders will come into my unit and I'll see this and that behavior, and then I'll see a transformation of some sort.
I have seen, gosh, I have all these stories like running into my head, and I'm trying to pick like a good story. I have an offender, and I didn't think he was going to be any hope because he was notorious for fighting. I mean, one night I was here on my late night, and he came into my, and I had an offender sitting where you are, and we were just talking, and this offender ran in here and started beating up on this kid in my office. It just was madness. So I had to bring the offender in, and I'm like, you know, dude, what's going on? And as we get to talking, he's just really he's really uncomfortable about going home, and that's why he's angry. So we looked at, that's not a good story. Okay, cut that. We're just gonna cut that. I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this: have you ever? Has there been an offender that came in that you thought, oh, this kid is, I'm a little bit afraid of him, and then later that's changed, or?
No,
Okay.
I guess not, because I'm not afraid. You know, I'm very aware of my surroundings, and I know these are offenders, and I know we're in prison, and I understand that, but I'm not afraid of any of them. I'm not afraid, and I've been threatened, and I've been intimidated, and I've been called a lot of things, and I've been told that things are going to happen to me, but it never shakes me. I have to be very grounded in what I do, very strong in what I do.
How exhausting is that?
It can be very exhausting. I come in at 7 o'clock every morning, and I probably do not leave here until 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening some nights. But I mean, you have to make those sacrifices, I think, to get things done and to get kids to trust you and believe that you are here for them. So if I have to sacrifice being here 2 more hours, 3 more hours, then so be it. I'd rather do that and know that I have some type of trust in them and they can trust me, than to say, we'll just take care of tomorrow, and they feel like, well, nobody cares. They're so used to nobody caring. I want to show them that I care. I want to be there for you. Here's what we're going to do.
Great. And finally, I just wanted to address, when we were following you a little earlier, we were in D10. Can you talk a little bit about what was happening at that time?
When we were up front talking about where you guys were going to go today as far as C and D or whatnot, my assistant superintendent, Ms. Commons, she had received a phone call that a offender had accused another offender who happened to be his roommate of raping him last evening. So the shift supervisor had called and said that they wanted all of the property collected because they wanted to see if there were any samples of, you know, semen or whatnot on the victim's property, and the other person, the aggressor, the alleged aggressor, was sent to segregation. So we had to pack up his property so it can go to segregation. So I had to go in there, talk to the sergeant about it, make sure everything is collected so that it can go to the shift supervisor, or to segregation so it can be examined.
Okay, so it sounds like not only do you handle treatment programs, you also handle...
Being in my position, you have to worry about the treatment, and to a certain degree you have to worry about the custody, because the sergeants, I'm their immediate supervisor. So I kind of explain to them what expectations I expect from my sergeant and from the officers from my perspective. You know, these are the things that I think we need to have as far as safety and security. This is how they're going to be done. From a treatment perspective, I try to make sure that, you know, groups are being done, treatment team is being done. I try to make sure that my counselors are not so overwhelmed because this is a very demanding job. So I make my best effort to make sure that they are okay with what they're doing. And we make sure that we're helping all of these kids the best way that we know how.
Finally, I guess I just want to wrap up by asking, you know, I would love to hear you say, I've been here about a year and I've seen everything from this to this to this to this, to kind of give me a perspective on it.
Since the year, it'll be a year in September that I've been here. And I have seen more things in this environment than I ever did in the adult facilities. I've seen more fights, more allegations of rape. I have seen more challenges from the offenders. I have seen so much anger and frustration and so much concern from the parents than you will ever see from the adult facility. And it has been very frustrating sometimes. It makes me want to go home and say, why am I here? It makes me want to just give up sometimes. But then when I look at the ones that I am changing, and when I look at the offenders that one day are known from battering offender to offender to offender to recognizing their faults and trying to redirect that behavior more positively, and when I get phone calls from my ex-offenders saying, hey, you know, I have a job, or hey, I'm going to the Army, or hey, I am doing just fine, that's what makes me stay here longer, and that's what makes this job so satisfying. Absolutely.
Okay, is there anything else you'd like us to know about what goes on here, what you do about the facility?
I don't know. I just want people to know that, I think from the video, they're going to see how demanding and how tough this business can be, especially from a juvenile perspective. But I want them to know that this is a very rewarding job. This can be a very rewarding job, and you have to believe that you are making a change. You are making a change. You may not see it today, you may not see it tomorrow, but somewhere along the line, you have made a change or a difference in somebody's life. And that's what we're here for.